nice if you could connect all the apps and services your business relies on. Welcome to Azure Logic Apps. Easy way to automate many of the workflows you have in place without writing a single line of code. Let's say a ticket gets created in Zendesk. You can automatically detect the intent of the message with language understanding cognitive services. Create an item in SharePoint to track the issue, and if the customer isn't in your database, automatically add them to your Salesforce or Dynamics 365 CRM, then send a follow-up email acknowledging their request. And that's just one example. You can automatically separate positive and negative tweets about your company, then populate a Power BI dashboard improving customer service. Or automatically approve orders under a certain dollar amount and quickly route bigger orders to the right people for approval. And everyone involved gets updated as you go. The point is, with Logic Apps, your company can run smarter by working more efficiently. Now, whether your company needs to connect to on-premise systems, the cloud, or a combination of the two. Plus, you only pay for what you use. There are no big upfront costs. To get started, try one of our templates. See how easy it is to connect everything with everyone. Before you know it, you'll be making apps to automate the services your company relies on most. With Logic Apps, only from Microsoft.
Hey everybody, it's your buddy Jay. I am back here for yet another wonderful episode of AzureFunBytes. I am here in gorgeous, beautiful, lovely Brooklyn, New York, home of your Brooklyn Nets, where I believe I am referring to this summer as FunBytes Summer, because we are going to be having so much fun learning about Azure together. So what do we do here every week? Well, it's pretty simple. We get together every week and we have a conversation about all the products, the services, and even complementary third-party products that help give you an amazing Azure experience. So one of the things that I really love about working at Microsoft is I get an opportunity to work with such amazingly talented people. And working with talented people means being able to do fun stuff with them because they understand the big ideas and the goals that you want to try to convey to people. And this person that I'm going to have on today, I really believe she epitomizes what greatness in this type of work is, of sharing and making people feel good about what they're working on, and then making it more than just work, making it fun. And so I'm going to bring in my guest now. It's Chloe Condon. Hey, Chloe.
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for the kind words. I'm so excited to be back. Repeat guest here.
Yes. We had you here a while ago, if I remember. And remember, if you're watching, make sure you're watching on Learn TV, aka.ms/Learn TV. Very important. We'll get into all that kind of fun stuff in a few minutes. For right now, Chloe, I wanted to just kind of catch up with you.
Sure.
Because you look tanned and rested. I want to give you that. I mean, we're all back to the grind as soon as we finish, but I know you took some time off recently, had a good time. And that being said, you had a long road to get here. And,
that is true.
I love hearing these stories of how someone got here. Not just to Microsoft, but doing the work that you're doing. And you have a little bit different story than most of the people I've been around. And so if people haven't heard it before, can you give them just a little intro into who Chloe is and how she got here?
Sure. So it's funny because I just tweeted this morning an experience that happened to me about 6 years ago as an office manager, but that's just one of many, many jobs I've had in my previous life. Hi, everyone. I'm Chloe. I come to tech via a very non-traditional path. So I actually have a theater degree. I grew up in the performing arts. Both of my parents were artists. My dad is a playwright director. My mom was a costume designer. So I grew up around computers, but didn't know a lot about computer science. Was really good at them. But when I thought about who an engineer was, I just pictured a bunch of guys in lab coats with hammers. Didn't really have any familiarity with that world. But I went to a performing arts high school, picture fame, but in Sacramento. And then I ended up getting my BA in theater performance. And I worked in literally every role but engineering, Jay. I did office management. I did recruiting. I was a virtual personal assistant. Oh my goodness. I did just about everything. Oh, I did VIP video game customer support. So I really got to see all of the different sides of tech from different angles, but I didn't know what engineers did. I knew they were nice. They wore hoodies, a lot of Patagonia and Allbirds. This was in the Bay Area, of course.
Yes.
But it wasn't until I heard a talk at Google about maybe 6 years ago, where they were talking about getting young women, specifically little girls in high school, middle school, interested in computer science. And they were talking about all these things like Girls Who Code and, all these great products like JewelBots. And I thought, okay, my ship has sailed. I wish this was around when I was a kid, but I totally missed my opportunity to learn about computer science. But lucky for me, my lovely boyfriend Ty worked in tech, and he said, it's not too late to learn. So I ended up attending a all-women software engineering boot camp here in San Francisco called Hackbright. And fast forward to now, I worked my way through a couple different startups and different junior DevRel roles. As I mentioned before, my background's in theater, so there's a lot of parallel between communicating topics and presenting topics with that background. So yeah, I've sort of found myself in this really cool hybrid role that we have, Jay, as a cloud advocate, where I'm, when I was doing my final project at Hackbright, I loved talking about my project. I loved sharing and explaining how these things worked and ticked, so to speak. So now I get to do that as my job. It's really cool, and I love it. And I work with students now.
And you're really, really wonderful at it, because your excitement and like real interest in what people get from it is really just it's palpable. We can always kind of feel what's coming through when you're doing these things. So I really appreciate you sharing that story with me. And
well, what's really fun about working with students is you kind of have to like sneakily teach them, right? So we'll see today when we're working with these chatbots, like a lot of my demos and examples are very fun or quirky or kind of there to make you laugh. And I think I was just on a show yesterday with Dr. Guthels, another cloud advocate. She explained this concept called chocolate broccoli, which I'm now obsessed with, which is like a bad version of trying to get like students interested in, how to code, for example, is if you're learning something and then it's like, oh, and then this little thing jumps. Like it doesn't really relate, right? Like Math Blasters is a great example of that for me, because I get very anxious playing Math Blasters because I'd still have to do the math problem to get the little guy to go up a level. So having these fun examples that kind of like, like we'll see Shania bot or Brittany bot that kind of get you giggling and laughing. I think I learn better when I'm having fun. So that's been a fun thing to do with our students.
And gamifying things is such a kind of a popular way of educating people now. Like one of the things that I know, and you can go ahead and use this gamified thing right below us, is Microsoft Learn. And Microsoft Learn gives you a place, and I'll bring this up for you. This is actually one of the things we'll be talking about today is Azure Logic Apps. And what you can do is, if you'd like to start getting educated on how to use these services, how to start implementing it, there's an entire course with tons and tons of examples and information that you can go to. I really recommend you check out this learning path. Here is a URL that you can keep, but don't go there until after the show, because we still got so much to talk about. And Chloe, I want to go ahead.
It's totally like, I will totally say, obviously, you're watching a show right now with two Microsoft employees talking about a Microsoft product. But I seriously use Microsoft Learn all the time. And other than Jay teaching me on that last AzureFunBytes, if you want to go back in the archives and watch, probably episode in the single digits maybe, that was my first time learning about Logic Apps, and the only other like studying I did on it was that literal Learn module you just showed. So if you want to learn this today, I promise you'll learn it, because I learned it through Jay himself and this module. So you're set up for success, y'all.
Well, thank you so much. I actually think I found that picture. Let me see if I can bring it up for everybody, just so you can see. 12 months or whatever it is, a year ago it says,
Yeah.
has gone by, and let's bring this up.
Ta-da!
It's a year, and I love this silly picture of you and I kind of just
Trying to figure out what these logic apps are. Now look at us now, just making
look
logic
at us
apps
now.
left and right.
Absolutely. So before we kind of start making our logic apps, I wanted to let everybody know, what do we do as part of the show every week is we have a poll, and I'd love you to take that poll, because it's important we know that you're, whether or not you've used this or not before. We just want to hear from you. So go ahead, head over to the Learn TV website, even if you're watching it on YouTube or Twitch or LinkedIn or whatever other million things I'm trying to get this show on. Head over to the aka.ms/LearnTV, where you can start giving me your answers of whether or not you've created one of these workflows using Logic Apps yet. And then the other big thing that I want everyone to remind themselves to do is, as always, send in your questions. We want to know what you want to know. And the only way we can get that answered is if you share your questions with us. So Chloe and I will be here for the next, we got about another 45 minutes or so. And what we're going to do is we're going to share some really cool information. We're going to make sure that you learn something, and hopefully we have some fun along the way. What do you say, Chloe?
Yes. Yeah. And I will also say, okay, we'll see if we have the time for it. But if you have any ideas, if you start getting inspiration during us talking about some of these example logic apps of maybe a Twitter bot that we should make or something we should do with logic apps, put it in the chat, because we may go off of your suggestions live.
Yeah,
spooky.
That would be really cool. So if you're watching and you want us to create a bot for you, go ahead and throw some questions, throw it in the comment section. You can use whichever native service that you may be using, whether it's YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. We get them also. And of course, you can send them on Learn TV. I'm getting your questions right there on the chat on your right side. You can ask your questions. And don't forget, we've got a ton of documentation that goes along with today's show. So if you want to keep up to speed with all the things that you learned today, you can check out all those links that are right there on that right rail in the Learn TV website. So Chloe, we've got a lot to cover and not a ton of time to cover it in. And so why don't you tell me a little bit about Logic Apps and what you can build with them and how you can do that. And just let me know when to bring your screen up, and I will.
Ooh, I will. I have a musical intro to my screen. You'll know when to put it in. So y'all, Jay asked me what I've been up to. So been doing all this stuff, been building a lot of bots. So as I mentioned, I work with students and new learners over on the Next Generation Experiences team. And one of my most fun projects that I feel like I've done in the past couple months is making a bunch of really ridiculous bots. And I know that we have people tuning in from all over the world. And so this is probably a pop culture reference not everybody's super familiar with, but there's a very popular song here in the United States by Shania Twain. And it starts out like this. Let's go, girls. Perfect timing, Jay. I can tell all this previous, behind the scenes technical experience. Perfect. So this is Shania Bot. Now, throwback to a year ago, that photo that Jay showed just a moment ago. Jay taught me all about Logic Apps and just how easy it was to spin up any kind of bot or small little app thing very, very quickly. And I had a mentee, shout out to PJ Metz, who wanted to learn how to make a bot, specifically a Shania Twain bot. There was a tweet that went kind of viral around that time that said, I wish there was a Twitter bot that just tweeted, "Let's go girls" every morning. So that is what we made. And I know this is going to sound like an ad for Azure, Jay, but truly this is what happened. And PJ can back me up on this. I said, okay, I want to show you all the different ways to make a bot. But first, I want to show you how to make a bot in under 10 minutes, super easy. And PJ said, okay, I'm not that experienced. He was new at programming. He had like just started his journey learning with our coworker Brandon, learning.net. And I said, no, really, it's going to take 10 minutes. And it actually did because Logic Apps is truly that easy. So first I'm going to show you a couple of these very impressive bots that are going to just blow your mind. And you're going to be like, wow, this must have taken you hours, Chloe. When in fact they just took a couple minutes. To start, we have iterated on these beyond the Logic App stage on some of them, Shania in particular, but this is Shania Bot. Feel free to follow her. She's at bot_Shania on Twitter. And this one does exactly what I just said. Sometimes it does some silly things, but it just tweets, "Let's go girls," every day at the same time. A very, very simple bot to start. We also added some other features on here that we originally built with Logic Apps, which if anybody tags Shania Bot and says, does this impress you? Are you impressed? Is this impressive? Just anything with the word or the string impress in it, it will respond and say, that don't impress me much. So here's an example of that in action. Someone had tweeted about Shania here, and I asked bot Shania, does this impress you? And it responded, that don't impress me much. So this was number one, but then we got really carried away, Jay. And we made even more. We have It's Britney Bot, which is a Britney Spears bot that I made using Logic Apps. Again, took me like probably 5 minutes because you and IJ were very familiar with how to make these Logic Apps at this point. This just tweets It's Britney Bots. You can follow that as well. It's at It's Britney Bot with 2 T's. But this has been really fun. And actually, Jay, you are sort of the godfather of this bot, like literally and figuratively, all these bots, because everything that started with Shania Bot has now turned into, and I should also mention PJ is a high school teacher turned DevRel. He just got his very first job teaching himself to code during the quarantine. Has also birthed Bodiana Grande for all you your thank you next needs out there. We have Mechanical Carrie, who's a Mariah Carey themed bot that will respond, I don't know her, to specific hashtags and emojis it's tagged with. We've got Just Bot Paid that PJ made, which will tweet out, I think, the 1st and the 15th in every month to remind you that you got paid. And my personal favorite, It's Gonna Be Maybot, which I thought, Jay, this could be a good one we could edit live on the stream because I've gotten some feedback on this bot. This is a bot I made for the end of April that just kept tweeting, it's gonna be May. And then during May said, it's currently May, but I've gotten some feedback that it's not relevant anymore, that it we're too far away from May. So I'm thinking we could make some edits in this bot today if we wanted to. We could make a new bot, but I'll leave it up to the chat. The chat can help us figure it out. Oh no, you're muted. And
Trying to have a sip of my drink and not have it make noise. One of the names that I will start using now is the Bot Father. So if wants to give me a ring, that is my new title. I am the Bot Father.
Truly, though, because if I hadn't learned about Logic Apps on AzureFunBytes a year ago, none of these bots would be alive today. So you're the Bot Father. It's official.
I tried. And so you're still doing? Are you still doing 8-bits? I know you and is it Brandon?
Yes, 8-bits is every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Very cool. Very cool. So what do you got to show me, Chloe?
Okay, so if folks in the chat, anybody tuning in right now, wants to give us a suggestion for a new bot so we can make one from scratch, I'm happy to do so. It might take a couple minutes because I just need to make a new Twitter account, but that's totally fine. But I have my Azure portal open up here. And I thought I could just show real quick how simple it is for me to just go in and change the spot. So I'm in the Azure portal here for It's Gonna Be Maybot. And as a quick reminder to everyone, this is the bot that originally started out tweeting, it's gonna be May. Then during May, it said it's currently May. And now It's back to it's going to be May. And people keep commenting on it, Jay. They're like, this doesn't make sense. Now, in my brain, it's like zero indexed, right? Where I'm like, okay, we're now in June. It's going to be May eventually.
It'll take some time. Yeah, it'll take some time, but we'll get back to May.
But I'm thinking, so if folks out there, because I realize this is also globally shown, this is based on an NSYNC song called It's Gonna Be Me. But Justin Timberlake, as we have in these pictures here, a very popular pop star in the United States, is known for saying "It's gonna be May" in this very specific tone.
And former Brittany Bowe, if I
Yes.
recall my early 2000s knowledge enough.
Dated Britney Spears, was in NSYNC, was in The Social Network, an actor as well, was in the Disney Channel original movie Model Behavior. I could go on with the credits. But he says it's going to be May, and I was thinking, because people have commented and they said this doesn't make any sense. Like we have to maybe change it to it's going to be May in, a different year or something. But what if we changed it to have the same cadence, but we can say it's blank months till May? We could definitely very easily, I just have to do the math. Y'all are going to have to help me with the math. So we can be like, it's 9 months till May. Or if people in chat have other ideas, we can edit it in that way. But let's try to see if we can make this bot a little more relevant, shall we?
Sure. Well, I have a question for you
Yes.
that just came in. And you know what? Let me just make sure it's here in the chat for you. Someone wants to know if Logic Apps are expensive.
Ooh, that is a good question. I would say no. What would you say, Jay? I mean, they're very lightweight.
I believe that they're all based on like an ingestion model. I'll bring up the pricing information in a minute, but I'm fairly certain they're based on like how many actions you actually accomplish as you're doing. Let's see here.
And actually,
here we go.
That's a great question, because something we're going to talk about on this stream are the things that you should think about when building these things. So as far as consumption model is concerned, like, I'm a woman on the internet. I'm always really scared that someone's going to abuse or use if it's a hashtag that needs to be used or something. So these are definitely things to keep in mind when you're building bots that respond off a certain action or a hashtag. How much is your bot going to be called or called upon?
And as you can see, it looks super inexpensive because you're using just pennies on the vCPU and the memory utilization and barely anything. So it's a pretty reasonable cost considering the power that comes from using the service.
And here's what I'll say. I will say that, so I am always thinking, just because I'm paranoid all the time, I'm always thinking about ways that my Crimea River, it's not May. That's pretty great. I think we might have to use that, actually. I'm always just double, triple, quadruple checking.
Thank you, Jim.
This is, yeah, great idea. I always double, triple, quadruple check different ways that my bots can be misused. Now, part of this is paranoia. Part of it is because I've had these fears realized before. Who amongst us has not accidentally shared on live stream their, resource key or something like that? So I'm always thinking about ways that my bots can be misused, Jay. I'm always thinking okay, so if I, for example, let me show one of these bots here.
Harm reduction, super important.
Yeah. If I've got it's going to be Maybot, or let's say mechanical carry, that's a good example, because mechanical carry responds, and I'll go to her responses here. Anytime someone says, I don't know her, sorry, if you use these emojis, so you'll notice this is very specifically thought out, right? When these emojis are used, which is the side-eye emoji, the eye roll emoji, and the side-eye emoji, and mechanical carry is tagged, then it responds, I don't know her. Now, Jay, something that I think about here, and this is why I have different limits on my bots, is what if someone, because I'm a woman on the internet, I think about these things all the time. What if someone really wanted to mess with me? And they were like, you know what? I'm going to spam mechanical carry with this emoji combo over and over and over and call this like a million times. So like, we don't want that to happen. And luckily there are ways that you can put rules in place to make sure that doesn't happen. So I talk about ethical bot creation for a very specific reason, Jay, and we will get to that. I think maybe in the later half of the stream.
Sure.
But these are things that you need to think about when you're building your bots. Like, how can this be misused? How can this hurt my business? How can it hurt other people? That's an even more important question.
We talk a lot about like reputation in regards to like uptime and availability in the world of DevOps, but I think reputation also has to include security and abuse patterns that you can reduce in the things that you build, so that they're look not just ethically, and how you build it, but responsibly.
Yeah. And an example that I'll give is, actually, I have a perfect example for this, which I'm going to be doing a series with at the Reactor, which we'll be sharing links to, but you can sign up for it at aka.ms/gotbots. But Jay, do you know what a t-shirt bot is? Have you heard of a shirt bot before?
No. Why don't you show me a shirt bot?
Okay. So shirt bots are not cool. I hate shirt bots, and let me tell you why.
So this is those Facebook bots that are like, I'm a cool dad who likes to use his drill and listen to like
but even
Morbid
worse,
Angel
Jay,
or something.
So there are those bots on Twitter that will look at your data and say like, people named Chloe with orange hair are the best. Like, there's those for sure. But this is a phenomenon which actually I may even show you. I did an experiment with this recently where I asked people to comment, I want this on a shirt, on a tweet. And this is what happens when I always discourage people from commenting, I want this on a shirt, or how can I get this on a shirt? Because I did a little experiment here and I said, comment, I want this on a shirt. I'm testing something. And I ended up doing this because I wore a shirt before that had this lovely logo on it. It says, girls just want to have funding for scientific research. And all of these shirt bots started commenting, Jay. Like, it was crazy. They were going, here, you can buy it on a shirt here. You can buy it on a shirt here. And this made me realize, because my friend designed this shirt, that this was taking business away from her. These shirt bots were just automatically making these shirts and capitalizing on this. So I played around a little bit more with it. And it ended up being this really interesting experiment where they very quickly, within about 10 minutes, I would say, created a shirt with the design that I tweeted. I ended up buying this shirt and donating to another artist as well, just to prove a point, because I'm going to be doing a whole series on this. And they're selling it for $15. Now, I tried this again recently as I was starting to make my content for this new course. And I did one that said, I tweeted as an experiment in ethical bot creation, and all I got was this shirt. And of course, this shirt got designed as well. Just from a simple tweet that started like this. So these are things to think about when you're building bots. Like, how can my bot be, not only how can my bot be abused, but how can my bot be leveraged or abused by other people? In this case, this is sort of a bad actor here, right? Like a couple different t-shirt companies are doing this. But making sure that, like, with anything that has AI and ML, because in a lot of ways our chatbots are kind of, or not our chatbots, but our Twitter bots do have a little bit of machine learning in them, making sure that they're making the right choices and taking feedback from people when you see these things happening. So always be careful when building these bots is my PSA for sure.
And I really liked one of the things from the video that we played at the front of the show about sentiment analyzing and actually being able to go into this workflow, looking at these different tweets and then doing some sentiment analysis on, like, was this a good actor and what they're sending? Or was this something where it's an account that doesn't have the email confirmed, or the phone number associated confirm. All these different types of things are easy ways to point out and say, maybe this is just somebody going after it. And
And
of
these are
course,
things we should always be thinking about. Like, we should always be thinking about, in the same way that we think about like app security, or the same way that we think about how our databases can be hacked, we should also be thinking about, beyond even like cuss words or things like that, how can this be misused in some way? And especially with bots, with anything that, we have to be careful with bots because they can be kind of spammy, which is why I make sure all my bots are like lighthearted, fun ones if they end up in people's feeds all the time. But these are things to think about. Always consider, is my code being ethical? Are my bots being ethical? So ethical bots for the win.
absolutely, especially if you even think about just AI in general. The way we create models, we want to make sure that they're inclusive and ethical so that we're not just creating things that are not going to actually include everybody in a particular analysis of data. So, people of color, people from different spectrums, it's important to ensure that all that kind of thought process is built in to what you're building.
Yeah, absolutely. Inclusivity and gender. We see so many things in that with pop-up forms. So please, please, please always be mindful of all your users. Ooh, someone in the chat said a bot Tony Soprano. I feel like we may not make that on this stream, but I may just whip that up for Jay today. We have to tell me what it should say though. I haven't watched The Sopranos yet, so that's on my to-do list.
There's nothing more useless than an unloaded gun.
Just send me all the tweets. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I think I was listening to you and Adam, the lovely Adam Jackson, on Hello World the other day. And you were both talking about how you literally do not need any programming experience to build a Logic app. And that is canon. That is absolutely canon. Although you can do a code view here, of course, and look at all the lovely stuff that I've built. First, I'm just going to show you all, we're going to zoom out real quick, and I'm going to show you what this currently built one looks like. And then maybe if we have some time, we'll build a new one if we have a little bit of time. But here's just a really simple, this is the Logic App Designer, which again, if you want an even deeper dive into this, you can go onto previous episode that Jay and I did, where I made baby's first Logic app. This is truly just like a full circle moment here, Jay. But this
bringing it all home. Bringing it all home.
Just, next year, I'll have my robot next to me, like teaching us this. It'll be great. But this is just a really simple bot. It's going to be Maybot with which, if you're just joining us, is a bot that says it's going to be May, except in May. It says it's currently May. But we've gotten some feedback on it, so I think we're going to change what it does. And right now, it has one interval each day. We're at, let's see, I think this is at 4 PST. It will do something specific, which I decided I wanted it to post a tweet, which if you go into the Logic App Designer, and I'll just like click on this new step here, there's like a bajillion, let me make this a little smaller so we can zoom out. There's a bajillion different things you can do with Logic App Designer. So if I wanted to add another action on here that, oh gosh, what should we do, Jay? Like schedule a Slack message or even just an event, create an Eventbrite event even.
How about even like, how about when someone sends him a message, he'll say bye, bye, bye.
Perfect. We love it. So actually, we should just add that onto this one. But this one currently is super simple. All I did, so to take a step back here, I logged in to my It's Gonna Be Me account, which is just a simple little login here. I've got a connection to my Twitter bot from here. So this didn't involve any tokens, any API keys, nothing. Nothing is handled by me here. I don't have to have any knowledge of an API. I don't need to get any, credentials other than my password and my username for Twitter.
And of course, it's got 2FA included as well, so that you can make sure you're logging in securely. Make sure you have 2FA on your Twitter accounts.
Yes, please, please, please. So super duper easy. I'm thinking, Jay, we could spin up our own little bot if we want.
Sure.
We'd have to make I'll quickly in the background will maybe make a Twitter bot. I have to sign into a different email address to do that. But yeah, this is, I mean, I wish there was more to show y'all. This is really what it is. What we could do, Jay, is if you wanted to start building the Logic app, I can create the Twitter account and then we could connect them together. I could securely save the password on my end and share it with you. But yeah, so let's see. We got some suggestions here.
So let's start from the beginning of the very beginning. So if you go to the dashboard, one of the things you can see here is we can just go drop down, see my recent services. But the easiest thing always is to just go create a resource. And so what we're going to do is we're going to see in the integration section that there is right here API, I should say Logic app, and it's the consumption version. So that means that all the CPU that you use, all those things, it's going to charge you based on CPU and memory. So we need to keep our things in a place, a place for our stuff, as this old guy George Carlin fan me says. And so we need to create a resource group. And if you don't know what a resource group is, it's kind of like a carton of eggs. If you have an empty egg carton, you could put eggs in it. If you have 2 egg cartons, you can take 1 egg from one carton and put it in the other. And if all the eggs are bad, you don't need to take each one out individually. You could just take the whole egg carton, throw it away. So what we're going to do is create our egg carton. We're going to just call this J Chloe right there. That's just going to be our resource group. Now we're going to create a bot. And we need to actually create a Logic app template first. So where we're actually going to build everything from. So to actually get started with that, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a name because everything needs a name. So JBot is what we'll call it. And so now we have these other options. You can integrate it with an integration service environment. If you're going to be using Azure Integration Services, that's a whole other show.
Yeah.
And then you can also do log analytics. So if you want to know exactly what's going on, you want to go back and check the logs, you can do that. And of course, we could add metadata tags. So if I wanted to say, let me say environment, and let's say this was a prod bot. That's just so that if we do some more reporting, we'll have information on it. So like everything on Azure, it goes through the Azure Resource Manager. And what we can do is just hit create. And essentially, it creates kind of an ARM template for you. And that ARM template then sends to the Azure API, the main control plane, and says, I need this. I need this resource group, and I need this resource. And so in just a few seconds, our resource is now available. And so all we have to do is go to click to resource. And now we've got our Logic Apps Designer. And so you can watch that video again on what it is and how you do it if you want to. But I want to show you that there are these common triggers that you can use. And I think that these are super, super helpful. Like I like this one when a new email or is received in Outlook. And so let's come up with this scenario, Chloe. Imagine that you get inbound every day a report. And in that report, it has pass or fail. Let's just say pass or fail to a certain thing. What you want to do is when that email says fail, you may want it to go ahead and do another thing, like maybe use SMS via Twilio and send somebody a notification, so kind of creating an alert. Or maybe that is part of your store, and you every single time you get an email from your store, it can go ahead and alert somebody because maybe you need some manual fulfillment. You shouldn't. You should be doing everything automated. But what we're going to do is work with the Twitter, and there's tons of more things here. Especially one of the things that I think are really cool is delete old Azure blobs. So let's say you're creating tons and tons of blob storage, you're keeping logs in there, and you need to rotate them out so it doesn't cost your account tons and tons of money. you can set up a job. And so the way I look at it, Chloe, is that we can create kind of like what's in Linux, the cron job. We can
Yes.
kind of create the cron right here. So let's go when a new tweet is posted.
And
Sound good?
honestly, I can even make one over here because I just spun up a new bot under
Okay.
the, let's see, we got to think of a creative name for it. So I thought of another diva
How
bot.
about, oh, I was going to say the bot father, maybe,
The
but yeah,
Botfather. Yeah, let's
yes.
do it. Okay, I'm gonna make. So I created this Botfather account. Let me see. I bet the Botfather is taken. What do we think?
Yeah.
Let me
Or
see
you
if
can
this
go
handle
with
is taken.
Christina. Xtina is also a perfect, I like that era of the dirty era of Christina Aguilera, who, as many of us do in my time, I very much enjoyed that transition.
No, let's do the Botfather. I love this because this
Okay.
is like seam of our pants, like going with the flow here. I'm going to, let's see, we're going to leave it. We'll change the name of the bot shortly so people can follow it. But I have the login. Should we let's make the Botfather on your end, and then I'll handle the Twitter side for now. And what do we want the
Okay.
Botfather to do? I guess is our first question.
So let me bring up the portal and bring up that
Because
section
we could
again.
have the Botfather respond to people. We could have the Botfather tweet everything at a particular cadence. We could have the Botfather, let's see, what are some of our other bots? Respond to different things. It could respond to an action. It could respond to anybody asking a question to the Botfather. But we want to start getting our wheels turning about, okay, what are let's say someone watches this video and they want to go spam our bot. We don't want them to do that. So I usually lean towards the scheduled bot ones.
Okay.
But we could also do something really unique with hashtag. We can take a look at all the different ones how we can make them. I can also bring it up on my end. I have it up here if we want to do it from here.
Sure. Oh yeah, no problem. I was just trying to get to the portal. It was just taking a second.
So
There you go.
super simple. We're going to go over to Logic Apps. Oops, it would help if my keyboard was plugged in. Cool. My keyboard's not working. Cool. We're going to go doing it live. Logic Apps. There we go. Logic App.
And you want to use that consumption model right there.
All right. And we're going to create. And we'll kind of breeze through this a little bit since we covered a lot of this on the last one, but we can, of course, go over it. So we're going to probably make a new resource group here. So this is going to be the Botfather. So I'm going to call it Botfav. And app name, I think we can call it Botfather Bot. Bot, not boy. I am over here in West US, so I'm going to click West US. Now, how about these ones, Jay? Associate with integration service environment. Do you think?
Yeah, we don't need those because we're not using an integration service. We're not going to be needing log analytics because we're building a demo bot.
Yeah, we don't need our tags here. So really, we just need to review and create. We should have started a timer before we built this, but I mean, we'll know roughly by when we finish.
Well, we got about 15 minutes left in the show, so I'm sure we'll get it done way under 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so while that is deploying, I'm going to go in here and pick a cool Botfather name. I'm trying to figure out how to change the name of my bot. Probably in settings, I would assume.
Yeah, if you go to settings, it'll ask for name, and you can change the account name. And my recommendation is go with the 2 or 3 T's.
How about we should pick a profile photo for the Botfather, and since you are the Botfather, we'll have you let's see, your account information. I would share my screen, but I'm typing in some password stuff, so I will share Twitter in just a second. All right, username. Let's see. I'm going to drag this over. Our deployment is complete. That was very fast.
Yes.
All right. And so we can go to our resource and look at this, y'all. Super magic, right? We got this lovely video here. And then all I'm going to do, because this is not my first bot rodeo. Let's go over to the Logic App Designer
Yeehaw.
and scroll on down here. Let me close this out. Oops, why am I, let's see, I'm dealing with all sorts, so I think it's because I'm in a full screen here.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Go to my resource, going down here. All right, here we go. So I can start with all of these common triggers. We've got when a new tweet is posted. We've got all of these ones right out of the box. For ours, it's going to be very similar to the one that we just looked at, where based on, well, I guess that's what we're figuring out now, right? So as I figure out the bot father's
So
name
maybe
here,
like when a new hashtag of, I don't know, maybe leave the gun, take the cannoli. Maybe we tweet that like once a day or something like that. Like you can automate that, right?
Yes. So let's see. I'm trying to bot father with 2 T's. I'm trying to bot father with 2 T's, 2 R's. There we go.
There we go.
So I will save this. If people want to go and follow the bot father, you can go and do that. Jay will pick a lovely profile picture, but that's not what's most important. What's most important now is to build our Logic app. So let's figure out, we want to do it kind of on a cadence. So let's see. We can do a recurrence where, let's see, how about, do you want it to be every
maybe
day?
Like once a day. Yeah.
Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Wow, 3 times a day. That's, see, if you start tweeting,
that's a bit much.
Consumption model may get a little overwhelming there. So we want, so here we're just figuring out the start time. Let's see, what time do you want it to go, Jay?
We'll do it at, say, noon.
Time zone. There we go. Okay, so super simple. I'll drop down. And again, y'all, you can do the code view of this. If your jam is more code, that's great. But, Jay and I talked about this last time that we were on the stream talking about Logic Apps, that truly, wish that I had this as an office manager. So many things that I could have automated with, hey, anytime that someone logs in on our login, NDA app, send a message to the person whose meeting it's for to come to the front. There's so many things I wish I could have automated as an office manager with this when I couldn't code, that I could have totally used Logic Apps for.
So to answer that question, and I'll let you set that time up and everything while you're doing that, but to answer this question, how can you automate the task on a server from a Logic app? I think you can create a trust between the two. You might have to have an authentication key, but you can go ahead and use it as a cron job replacement. I think it's really super useful. Yeah. I think you can include scripts so that if you need to actually execute, you could do that. I will make sure to find out more for you and share that.
Is it almost 5 where you are? Because maybe we'll have this tweet as soon as we're done. We'll get it in right under the hour.
We got 12 minutes in the hour left.
Okay. Let's see. So every day at 5, this will run.
Is it 5 a.m. or 5 p.m.?
Ooh, great catch. I'm terrible at military time. So wait, what would that be?
That's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. What is that, 18?
Is it?
1,800 hours, I believe.
Sure.
Yeah, I think 18.
Correct us in the chat if we're wrong. I'm terrible.
Sure.
Wait, 17?
No, 17. Yeah, you're right.
17. That's the first. Okay, with math. Terrible math. Okay. At 17 o'clock, it will run. And what we want it to do, and again, we've done this on the stream. We made the bot, formerly known as Xtina, now the bot father, which we'll change the name of. Here we go. We'll do it. We need to pick a header. Oh, I'll do that later. I just want to
we'll do it later. No biggie.
And we want it to tweet. So I'm going to go to Twitter. So we've got triggers and we've got actions. And the difference between a trigger and an action is pretty straightforward to us as developers. But if you're a non-technical person, a trigger is going to be what triggers the thing that's going to happen. And then the action is what's going to happen. So these triggers here, really, we just have when a new tweet is posted. The actions are many, many here. We can, oh my goodness, get someone's following. If Jay wanted to set up a tweet that told him how many followers he had every day and tweet it out, He could do that. I don't know why he would do that, but he could. It could post a tweet. So maybe there's like, maybe Jay and I have like a greatest hit. Like we have a tweet that we love and we just want to remind people. Actually, there's a tweet. I should make a bot of this for Jay that I tweeted this week that said, please be nice to me, especially on the internet.
Yes.
Maybe I'll just have that tweet every day at 5.
Absolutely. So I saw they have post a tweet, I guess, is what we're going to do.
Yes. Post a tweet. And so I'm going to select that. And now is just what I'm going to, the connection name is just going to be
just bot
the
father,
name of the bot father. Oops, too many R's. And the authentication type, I'm going to sign in. And this is going to pop up this. I'm going to hide this quickly because I'm going to type in my password. But it just brings me to this lovely 2-factor auth page, which if you've ever worked with a Twitter API, this is basically what you work with in those situations. And it's just saying here that we're allowing Logic Apps to have just the permissions that we're using for this app.
Make sure you change the username.
Yes, good call. I'm going to remind myself it's the bot father.
Yes.
Let's see.
The 2 T's, 2 and R's.
Bot father.
And while you're doing that, I want everybody to know that if you want to take part in Chloe's ethical bots conversation that she's going to be doing with the reactor, you can head over to this URL. Let me go ahead and pull that up for y'all. aka.ms/go gotbots, not GoBots. GoBots is a GoBots were the Bobo Transformers.
I wanted to call my series Bot Girl Summer because I loved the reference that you made. What was it? Hot Bite Summer or something?
It's going to be
Fun Bite Summer.
Fun Bite Summer.
But I went with GotBots. Hopefully Big Milk doesn't come after me. But I'm very excited to teach everybody about bots. And we're going to be starting with Logic Apps because as we're learning in these very short couple minutes that we've made this bot. So just to recap real quick, this is about to go live, but like we made a Twitter account and we've made the Logic app for it in like, gosh, what seems under 10 minutes. So literally now all I'm doing is I want it to tweet text, and this is the text to be posted. Hit me with a bot father quote.
Leave the gun, comma, take the cannoli.
Leave the guns. Okay, I clearly need to watch The Godfather. Leave the
gun, comma, take the cannoli.
How do you spell cannoli?
K-A-N-O-L-I. Can-O-L-I. So cannoli.
Cannoli. Like that? Okay.
Yes.
Is there a cannoli emoji?
I wish.
Oh, man.
It's one of my favorite Italian pastries there are, and being a New Yorker, you know, I can't live a year without having a cannoli.
I am craving a cannoli right now. Okay, so I'm going to do leave the gun, take the cannoli. I'm going to add, I'm not going to do any dynamic content. I don't need that. And I'm going to save it. And what's going to happen, as long as we have, fingers crossed, our time zone right, which I believe we did, we'll double check real quick, is this is going to tweet. So I got Eastern, 17 o'clock, which is 5. It is going to tweet, leave the gun, take the cannoli from this. And if I really want to live on the edge, Jay, maybe I can move it forward. Yeah,
I think you can run the trigger, right?
Oh, yeah, we can run the trigger. The only thing is, and I want to say this out loud because this has happened to me before, there is a rule on Twitter that you can only post the same tweet within what I believe is a certain amount of time. And that's just so you're not spamming the same thing over and over again. So if you do run a test, so when I run trigger right now, you need to slightly alter the text next time that you run it. This is more a limitation of the Twitter API than it is so much Azure Logic Apps. But if for some reason your code isn't running, that's why. I've run into this many times. So I'm going to run trigger. I just pressed it.
And it looked like it already had tweeted it out. So it looks like we've got it.
Amazing. Okay. Ta-da. we just built, and look at that, we've got 5 minutes to change the user, the profile name, and to pick a profile photo. But how easy was that? That was so easy, right?
Absolutely. And I guess that's the whole point of using this service is it's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be able to empower just about anyone who can work with these services to build something, an automated process for your business or a tweet bot because you want to have a good time with it, whatever it is. All it needs you to do, look up Michael Corleone or Michael the Godfather.
Michael the Godfather.
Yes. And then you can go ahead. It'll get you a picture of Al Pacino. There you go.
Let's see.
Very suave. I like
This
one? the one above it, actually.
This one?
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect. I'm going to save this.
It's very stoic. And I want to just take a second. I want to thank everybody who was in the comments today. It really appreciate it. And people who took part in the poll. Let's take a look at the poll. Most of you have not used it yet. And we want you to change that. So make sure that you go ahead, you start looking at the Logic Apps Microsoft Learn, and you can head over to aka.ms/logicfunbytes so you can start creating your own bots.
Yeah, and follow the bot father, because I feel like we're going to
Yes.
add more quotes in here. The bot father will have a life beyond today, so stay tuned. Follow bot father, 2 T's, 2 R's.
We'll keep him alive. And so I want to give everybody else another few reminders. Go check out Chloe's upcoming session, like we said before, an ethical bot creation,
Yes. I'll bring that up here.
aka.ms/gotbots. If you want to get all the documentation on Azure Logic Apps, there's tons and tons of stuff. And matter of fact, there's even quick starts. So an integration workflow with a multi-tenant Azure Logic app. You can manage it from Visual Studio Code. Because remember, you can write these with code, and they'll all be all the IntelliSense snippets that you can use to be actually create your bots.
Yeah, like this is literally what we just built. Like, look at all this code that we just wrote. Also, I love code that says "leave the gun, take the cannoli" in it. Like,
and it's and it's simple JSON. To be honest, it's not even any like a complex language. It's just JSON. And if you work with JSON, it's just kind of key value and nesting those keys and values within larger documents. So, Chloe, we've got about 2 minutes left, maybe less than 2 minutes. And I was curious, is there anything else that you think people should know, whether it's about you, it's about Logic Apps? You tell me, what should people know other than to go to that Twitter handle? Let me point it that way.
Yes. Follow me on Twitter. That's where I post most of my updates. I'm also on Instagram as GitForked, G-I-T Forked, which is a good place pun if you're non-technical and a GitHub pun if you are a technical person. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm going to be doing some really cool machine learning AI stuff. I'm doing a bunch of streams with bots, of course. So stay tuned for all those deets on Twitter and elsewhere, and just super excited to be making fun, cool, interesting stuff for students with our Microsoft student partners and Imagine Cup folks. So yeah, lots of fun stuff happening.
Well, let's give everybody the big wave goodbye and say thank you for watching. Thank you for being here today, Chloe. I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you. Always a pleasure, and can't wait till next year when we build our own sentient bots or something.
Yes. Absolutely. And until then, everybody, we'll see you next time here on Azure Fun Bites. Thanks for joining us.